What is up, everybody? Bandit here in the Land Cruiser for another update. So, as you might be able to tell from the title of this video, we've had an interesting couple of weeks to say the least. Now, when we got the Land Cruiser, it was always plagued by three issues. The first being the brakes. Chad did fix those pretty good before I actually brought the Land Cruiser down here with me. But since then, we've been fighting two major battles. One of those is with the fuel system, and one of those is with the cooling system. Now, the cooling system was fine around town, but it would start to heat up whenever we would take it on a little bit faster speeds, you know, above 50 miles an hour. It would start to get warmer and warmer. But we think we might have fixed that. So we did end up ordering a brand new radiator, and we also got that fan clutch in that we talked about on the last update, and that seemed to have really helped out a lot. We've had a couple 90-degree days here, and running the Land Cruiser here even up to 65 miles per hour here in those conditions, we're staying cool, and everything appears to be fixed there. However, moving on here to the second battle is the fuel system. Now, the fuel gauge here in the Land Cruiser has never worked since we took possession of it, but at one time the low fuel light did work. So, you know, we were thinking, oh, it's not too big of a deal. If the low fuel light works, you'll know when you're getting close, and you can go ahead and stop and fill up at that point. That didn't exactly work out. So I was going to work the other day, and actually coming, you know, I was probably 5 miles outside of work, and we started to lose power. It started kind of sputtering and everything else, and not a whole lot of confidence was given at that point, but you know, it did actually cut out on me entirely, and I had to pull over. The vehicle actually shut off. Fortunately, I was going uphill, and I assume the fuel lines go to the back of the fuel tank, because I was able to stop and restart the vehicle. And I got close to the gas station, pulled in. It looked like a really crappy gas station, and I saw a 7-Eleven down the street. So I'm like, hey, you know, if I'm still moving, I could probably make it to the 7-Eleven down the street. Well, I did make it to the 7-Eleven down the street, but unfortunately that 7-Eleven did not sell gasoline. It was only a convenience store. So I turned around and tried to head back to the original gas station that I was at, the crappy one, and I lost power again, and it did cut off again. So fortunately, I was able to sit there a few minutes. I'm not sure if it was just the angle I was sitting at again or whatever, but I was able to restart the vehicle and coast in. It actually died as I was moving in, but was able to still roll up to the pump there with the vehicle off and get gas there. So moral of the story there is, if you're really hard pressed for gas, just go ahead and stop at the nearest station, no matter how crappy it looks, and go ahead and get some fuel. So needless to say, we definitely need to fix that fuel tank here before too long, and be able to fix that gauge and everything else. But I also noticed while I was filling up that there was a slight drip coming out of the gas tank once it started getting a little bit full, and actually once I was back in the vehicle, I could start to smell the gas fumes a little bit. So after some more research on the I Hate Mud forums, it looks like that these FJ80s are plagued by a pretty common gas tank crack. It's not real big, and it is on the top of the tank, so it should be pretty easy to fix. I have the JB Weld, I believe it's called the Steel Stick, but we'll be sure and take a video of all of that. But if it's on the top of the tank, it shouldn't be too hard to kind of hold all of that together. And the JB Weld that I got is says it does work both on steel, which is what the fuel tank is made out of here on these 80s, and also it holds up to water and gasoline and everything else. So hopefully that'll be a pretty good solution. It looks like a new fuel tank for one of these things does bring a pretty penny if you can find one, that is. So hopefully we can avoid that, and hopefully everything works out there pretty well with that. But we'll be sure and keep you posted. But hopefully we can get that issue resolved here before too long. Also, in one of our previous videos, we were talking about these tires. Now, we were able to get a really good deal on these Goodyear Wrangler Authority tires there from Walmart, and we've put, looks like, right around 100 miles on them since. Now, obviously, that is no test of a tire. Pretty much any tire, no matter how crappy it is, can last 100 miles, but these things really seem to be doing well. So as we're filming this video right now, we are going right around 50 miles an hour, and you might be able to tell there is a little bit of noise. Now, these are a fairly aggressive tire, but the noise is not too bad, and I have had it up to, like I said, around 65 miles per hour. Not too bad there either. So obviously I'm curious to get these tires off-road and the whole vehicle off-road for that matter to see how it does. But for right now, I have been working a lot, and there is still a couple loose ends to be worked out here on the Land Cruiser before we can do all that. So I'm asking y'all for a little bit more patience, and before too long, I promise you we will have this thing on the trails. Now, in terms of upcoming parts that you can expect to see added to this thing, we did actually get these new sway bar bushings. These are for the front sway bar, excuse me, and they are from Moog. Now, these are very, very cheap. They're about $6 on Amazon for the pair. There is 2 of them in here. It's not very clear on Amazon how many you get in the box, but it is 2 for about $6. So we will get these installed pretty quickly. We also have a PCV valve that I just installed last week. That seems to be doing much better than the old one that did appear to be pretty shot. But also, I do have all the hardware necessary to delete the EGR system in here. Now, if you're not familiar with an EGR system, they are pretty common on more modern diesel trucks, but it's basically a vacuum system that was created to help emissions and everything else here on both the 80s and a lot of other vehicles. But it sounds like they can get very clogged up, especially when they are older and less maintained than they should be. And it sounds like if you do get rid of those, it actually can get you a lot more power, more fuel economy, and everything else. So I am very interested to hear your all's opinion on the EGR system, whether it's better to keep that thing on or get it off there and make some more power. So obviously, as we keep the Land Cruiser here a little bit longer and we have more confidence in the reliability of this thing. Now, like I said, there are still a couple issues that need to be fixed up on this thing. You know, the fuel gauge is not really working like it should, but the cooling system does seem to be sorted out. But hopefully, before too long, we can get this thing out on the trails and really see what it can do. But as just the basic mechanicals of this thing are worked out, I'd really be curious to know what you all would like to see with this thing. So what kind of build would you like to see? Do you want to see it you know, turned into more of a rock crawling rig? Do you want to see lockers added to it? Do you want to see lights added to it? Really, whatever you all can think of that is you know, fairly reasonably priced, we're more than willing to hear you out. So if you do have any ideas about that, please leave all that in the comments below, both what you want to see and why you would like to see it added to this FJ80. We are really excited to be a part of this build. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for the channel, and I'm super excited about it. So obviously, if you like this video, we do really appreciate your support. Please hit those like buttons and subscribe buttons, and be sure and spread the word. Like I said, we are very open-minded for whatever you all want to see done to this thing, and we do try to respond to all the comments. So if you do have something you want us to see, please leave it down there in the comment section or hit us up on Instagram. All of that information is in the description of the video, as always. So thank you all very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, everybody. We'll catch you next time.